Hello, this is Lauren Brantley Books, and I am here today with a review of Breathe and Count Back from 10 by Natalia Sylvester. This book is a Latinx story that also deals heavily with themes of disability. In it, 17-year-old Veronica lives with her parents and her sister Danny in Florida. Veronica has hip dysplasia, which is a disability in which the hip socket doesn't fully cover the upper thigh bone. She has had several surgeries to try and correct it, but to no avail, and those surgeries have left her with several scars. This is an own voices story about disability, as in the author Natalia Sylvester also has hip dysplasia. Veronica's hometown is home to a tourist destination called Mermaid Cove, which is where professional swimmers dress up as mermaids and perform underwater for guests. Veronica has always dreamed of becoming a mermaid, even though it's not something her parents would approve of. Her dream suddenly seemed a lot more within reach when a spot opens up at Mermaid Cove and Veronica wants to try out. However, to do so, she would have to lie to her overprotective parents, who would certainly never allow her to do it. There's also the question of whether she would be able to handle the physical strain of the job with her hip dysplasia. The story of Breathe and Count Back from 10 is about a lot more than a girl wanting to be a mermaid. Ultimately, it is a story of different traumas and how people deal with them. This book deals heavily with the trauma of being an immigrant and how that trauma is passed down through the generations. Veronica's family is originally from Peru. They had to leave Peru to pursue a better life in Florida. Uprooting one's entire family is traumatic enough on its own, but to make matters worse, Veronica's family is implied to have initially lived illegally in the U.S. and struggled to gain residency and work permits, and going through the U.S. immigration system has caused her parents a lot of fear and trauma. All her life, Veronica's parents have scrambled to get green cards for their family, and by the opening of the novel, they have succeeded in doing so. However, the trauma doesn't just magically end there now that the family has residency. When Veronica was growing up, her parents were terrified of being found out as illegal immigrants and taken back to Peru, so they developed a mantra of laying low, being a model citizen, and never attract attention to yourself, and they are heavily enforced this mantra with their children. Because of this, Veronica has had a lot of pressure put on her from a young age about being a model citizen and to take the safe route in life. Her parents want Veronica to play it safe. They want her to get a summer job that will look good on a college application, go on to a good college, and then get a safe and steady career. They never seem interested in what Veronica wants to do for herself, not out of malice, but because of fear. They want their daughters to have a better life than they had, and so they prize financial security for their daughters above all else. Her parents are very overprotective, but at the same time, Veronica is a senior in high school about to graduate. She's at that age where she's questioning who she is and what she wants to do with her life, and she finds her parents' overprotectiveness stifling. Veronica understands why her parents are so protective of her, but at the same time she wants to express herself, and so that leads her to going behind her parents' back to apply for a job at Mermaid Cove. She has a passion for swimming and all things mermaids, and she isn't going to let her parents stop her from expressing herself this time. Veronica's parents are very overprotective of her, and one way this manifests is how conservative they are when it comes to dating and intimacy. They have slut-shamed Veronica from a young age and pretty much forbidden her from having any contact with boys after an incident that took place between Veronica and a boy named Jeremy. Her parents caught Jeremy and Veronica making out in a hot tub, and since then they've doubled down on their protectiveness over Veronica's virginity. We later learn that not everything that happened between Jeremy and Veronica was consensual, and what Jeremy did to Veronica is another source of trauma for her. There's a good conversation about consent and how silence is not a form of consent. This is a very salient point, as is in our own culture. A lot of times people think silence during intimate encounters is a form of consent, when really it's not. A lot of times people freeze and go silent when they are feeling afraid, which is exactly what happened to Veronica. There's also a really good conversation about how traumatic events don't always affect people the same way. Jeremy, for instance, has no emotional trauma for what he did to Veronica, who does suffer from emotional trauma afterwards. One character puts it best. Blades have handles, so people who inflict trauma often don't suffer any of the trauma themselves. The unhealthy encounter between Jeremy and Veronica is a direct contrast between the encounter she has with a different boy. Veronica's love interest is a boy named Alex. He's just moved up to Veronica's apartment complex with his mother after his parents' divorce. They have a cute encounter at the beginning when Veronica ends up being a tour guide for Alex, and the two talk and get to know another and quickly form a bond. I really loved watching Alex and Veronica bond, and their relationship is a good example of a healthy first love. It was refreshing to see just an honest and sweet depiction of teenage love. However, Veronica can't tell her parents about Alex, as the boys are still a no-no for them. Her parents are so dead against Veronica dating that early on her dad flips out just because he catches Veronica swimming in a pool with Alex. So Alex becomes the first of one of many secrets she has to keep from her mom and dad. The main lie Veronica tells her parents is about her summer job. Veronica dreams of being a mermaid in Mermaid Cove, and an opening comes up for a temporary job as one. Veronica implies the secret, and when she gets the job, she forges her mother's signature on the liability forms, tells her parents she's working for Mermaid Cove as a marketing intern instead of as a performer. Her parents would never let her be a performer, as her parents see the mermaids as not only scandalous, but as a waste of time. They instead want her to get a summer job in business so it looks good on her resume, but Veronica follows her dreams even if it means lying to her parents. Another source of trauma in this book is Veronica's hip dysplasia. She has already had several surgeries trying to correct her condition without success, and this has left her with a scar on her hip and a limp. Ableism is a thing of this book, and Veronica has many instances of suffering this when she was in a wheelchair after her surgeries. She contemplates the way in which disabled people are treated as an inconvenience for able-bodied people, and how disability makes able-bodied people feel uncomfortable. Veronica rightfully calls out people for this toxic, ableist mindset. I think this book does a great job in capturing the pitying, nosy, and unpleasant comments that able-bodied people often make about disabled people, such as the way people constantly demand to know the story behind Veronica's scar, even though it's none of their business. Later on, when Veronica has become a part of Mermaid Cove, a promotional image of her has her scar photoshopped out, and Veronica is devastated about it. Her scar and hip dysplasia is still part of her, and having that part of her purposely erased hurts. This book is definitely about being comfortable in one's own skin. Veronica struggles with this throughout the book. The entire reason she became a swimmer in the first place was because of her hip dysplasia, as the water is good for her recovery from surgery. The water is a place where Veronica feels at home, and swimming has become a form of self-expression for her. That expression was really beautiful to see, and it makes it all the more fulfilling when Veronica is accepted for a part in Mermaid Cove. I can't say much more because of spoilers, but the show she puts on at Mermaid Cove is a beautiful incorporation of her Peruvian heritage. I absolutely love Breathe and Count Back from 10, and I highly recommend it even if you don't normally read YA. It was a wonderful coming-of-age story with some amazing disability and Latinx representation. It's a shame this book isn't getting more attention already. Thank you so much for watching my review of Breathe and Count Back from 10 by Natalia Sylvester. This is Lauren Brantley Books, and if you have any suggestions for what I should read next, please let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to subscribe for more reviews like this, and a like on this video goes a long way. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!